गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Okay, we are resuming our Mula Vidya Nirasa talks after long time, probably 4, 5 or 6 months. Anyway, I have recovered my health considerably enough to be able to give some talk. So let us resume. We were discussing in Mula Vidya Nirasa in second chapter. Just I give you a brief summary of what was going on. Okay, we were discussing to show that the waking and dream are unreal. You have to show what is reality. Without telling, without showing, without defining what is Paramarthika Satta, what is Paramarthika reality. Without showing what is Paramarthika reality, you can't simply say that waking is real. They say, Purvapakshi says like this, waking state is in contrast with dream is real. It has some reality, but not absolutely real, Paramarthik real. Then the question comes, what is Paramarthik real? What is Paramarthik real? You have not told anything. So then Purvapakshi told, Siddhanti asked him to define what is absolute reality. He told the waking state is born of avidya, a Mula Vidya, and it is going to be negated by knowledge, therefore it is unreal. So here he is explaining how waking state is unreal without referring to the very reality. Based upon the very understanding of reality, say whether it is real or not. The waking state is real or not, based upon the very reality, the nature of reality. Okay? Based upon the nature of reality, you can evaluate. You can evaluate the reality of waking based upon otherwise, how do you evaluate whether waking is real or not? Based upon reality or based upon the nature of reality. So without referring to the reality, the show what is that reality in your life, you have to show. So Purvapakshi says that it is born of ignorance and it is going to be negated. Since it then Siddhanti has shown a defect in it. That waking state is born of ignorance is one assumption, and therefore it is going to be negated by, it is negatable by knowledge is another assumption. You are deriving one assumption from the another assumption, that the waking state is born of ignorance, therefore it is going to be negated by knowledge. So it is going to be negated by knowledge because it is born of ignorance. And if it is negated by knowledge, then you can call it is unreal. If waking can be negated by knowledge, you call it unreal. But how do you know that it is negatable? Waking is negatable on what basis? Okay? Waking is negatable on what basis? If you can show waking is negatable based upon the nature of reality, okay, based upon the nature of reality, then we can understand waking is negatable. But he says waking is negatable because it is born of ignorance and therefore negatable by knowledge. Now, born of ignorance, how do you know? How do you know? What is that ignorance and how do you know that it has produced this waking? All this is assumptions only. Therefore, it's not going to help us. Okay. Therefore, in the 17th passage, he told, it is an anyonyashraya dosha. Atasyat samsarasya anadya vidya krutatvat tasyascha vidyaya. So this is a anyonyashraya dosha. The defect of mutual dependency. Two assumptions, one assumption derived from another assumption, and then this assumption depends upon the other. That it is born of ignorance depends upon negatability, negatability depends upon that it is born of ignorance. Okay. So ultimately the waking state is unreal, cannot be established. But it is real. Our anubhava says, our experience says, and you too have admitted, waking is unlike a dream. You have told waking is unlike a dream. Dream is negatable, waking, whereas waking is not negatable. That means you have no experience of waking being negated. You have no experience of waking being negated, but you have an experience of dream being negated. Therefore, this is what Mula Vidyavadi told, that we have an experience of dream being negated. Everybody knows. It is a universal experience that dream is negated. But whereas the waking's negatability, nobody has seen, nobody has an experience. That means it is unnegatable is what you see. Waking is unnegatable. Okay? Unnegatable is what our life says. Our experience says. Okay. If waking is unnegatable, this you are admitting that waking is real. But yet you say you have to accept that it is real although, it is unnegatable although, but it has to be admitted that it is absolutely paramarthika satta. In its paramarthik nature, in its really real nature, it is negatable. It is not true. But what is really real nature? Just now you have admitted it is unnegatable. Just now you have admitted waking is unnegatable. Yet you say it is negatable again. At another stage it is negatable. How? See, first you told it is unnegatable based upon experience. First you told unnegatable based upon experience. Now you have to show the negatability based upon experience only, isn't it? Negatability you have to show based upon the experience only. Then only you can say waking is unreal. Otherwise, based upon experience, you say waking is unnegatable. And again you say you have to accept that waking is not real. You say your experience shows it is unnegatable. Yet you want us to accept that waking is unreal. On what basis? You have an idea. You have a concept about waking state, that it is produced, that it is born of ignorance and negatable by knowledge. Born of ignorance and therefore negatable by knowledge. So born of ignorance, how you show us? You have to just accept it, believe it. and it is negatable by knowledge, you have to believe it. So both these beliefs or assumptions do not prove, because these do not prove its unreality, and they are mutually dependent also. That waking state is born of ignorance and waking state is going to be negated by knowledge. Both are assumptions. But that waking is unnegatable is a matter of experience. Okay? Unnegatable is a matter of experience against the very experience you are talking. Okay? Against the very experience you yourself admit that it is not negated in our experience, yet you want us to believe that it is negatable, it is unreal. And you have not told what is really unnegatable. What is really Paramarthika Satta? What is it? You have not defined. You have not touched it, you have not defined it, yet you say that waking state has to be admitted because it is born of ignorance and negatable by knowledge. Therefore, it is not two things. That it is negatable, you ask us to accept it, yet you have not shown what is reality. Then what is Paramarthika reality? So both the defects arise. Ultimately, what is Paramarthika reality is not told, not shown. But waking you against your own admitting, against your own admission, against everybody's universal experience that it is not negatable. You want us to believe that it is negatable because you have an assumption, you have an explanation that it is born of ignorance, therefore it is negatable. Okay. This was the problem Siddhanti pointed out, that Mula Vidyavadi did not explain. So Mula Vidyavadi now comes to us with a different explanation. Vidvad Anubhavas, these things we have discussed elaborately, but just I am telling once again, probably our one talk will take to just summarize what we have discussed, so that we will come to the topic. Okay, otherwise 5 or 6 months gone, long gap there was. So some of the people may not grasp the context, may not remember the context. So unless you come to the context, the next, what we are going to discuss next will become difficult to understand. So we have to come to the context. So I am just telling the context. So beginning with the second chapter. So Vidvad Anubhava Pramanyadapi Navidyakatvam Samsarasya. Now he says, let us take a Jnani's Anubhava. He says there are Jnanis who say that Jagat is Mithya, and they understand Paramarthika Satyam. They are Jnanis, enlightened people. So they know the truth, and they say that the world is unreal. That means in our experience, waking is not negatable. Okay? You yourself admit and openly say that waking is unnegatable because nobody has seen. We are seeing, it is common experience that dream is negatable, dream is false. But have you had such an experience of waking being negatable, waking becoming false like dream? Have you had? Or does any one of us have the experience? And he says, yes, there is one Jnani. There is one person called Jnani. He has an experience. He understands that the waking is unreal. Okay? At that point we were discussing, he says, now, for this, Siddhanti replied, no. First thing is, what is Jivan Mukta's experience? Nobody knows. Because it is not a matter of everybody's. See, waking is our common experience. What is common experience? Its negation also should be in everybody's experience. What is normal experience? It's a negatable. See, dream is everybody's experience. Its negatability is also everybody's experience. Dream is also experienced by all, and it is negated by all. It is negated by everybody. Okay. But similarly, waking is experienced by all. It is a universal experience that there is a waking state. But do you have a universal negation of waking state? Is it a common experience of all of us that we are negating waking state? No. That you yourself admit that waking state is unnegatable. Now you say, we have to accept that waking is mithya. First argument you told, waking is mithya based upon that it is born of ignorance, avidyakam. Okay? We dismissed that avidyakam is only assumption. Second argument he brought is a Jivan Mukta's experience. Okay? Jivan Mukta's experience says that world is unreal. First you say, how do you know who is Jivan Mukta? Who is Jivan Mukta? How do we know? Okay? Who is Jivan Mukta? Do you have any particular board he carries, or how do you know that he is a Jivan Mukta? If you say there are certain saints, certain jnanis who say that they are Jivan Muktas and they understand waking is unreal, if that is the case, but there are many jnanis. Some of them say world is real also. I have never seen waking as unreal. Some of the Sampradayik gurus, some of the Siddha Purushas say waking is real. Now out of these Siddha Purushas, Jivan Mukta means a Siddha Purusha. Out of these Siddha Purushas, whose Anubhava we should believe? Okay. First thing is you are depending upon an individual experience. First is you are depending upon an individual experience. Okay? It is an individual, a given experience alone. It is not a universal experience. Not a universal experience. So you have to believe, okay, that there is a particular Jivan Mukta and he experienced the waking state as unreal. Okay? But we are not experiencing. But you say waking is unnegatable. Nobody has seen it. Universal experience says it is a matter of universal experience that waking is real, unnegatable. Nobody has seen its negation. Then if you say if a given person sees, it becomes only a personal experience. Then based upon a given person's experience, how can you say waking is unreal? There one or two problems are there. First thing is somebody's personal experience means he himself may be under delusion. How do you know? How do you know that he is a Jivan Mukta? You don't know whether he is Jivan Mukta or not. He may claim, but his claim itself may be a delusion of him. Okay. His claim may be a delusion. How do you know? One point. Second is, out of the many siddhas, which siddha you have to believe? Which jnani you have to believe? Some of them, one says that it is mithya, others say it is not mithya. Out of them, which jnani, which Jivan Mukta, which Siddha Purusha you have to believe? It is undecided. It's again a confusion. Okay? Anubhava matra, Vadi Parikalpita Anubhava matrat, Vastu Siddhi Abhyupagame. If you based upon somebody's experience, based upon somebody and a given person's, one person's experience, one or two, okay, let us say, based upon somebody's private experience, okay, based upon somebody's private experience, private or personal experience, if you decide that the waking is unreal, then another person will bring that my guru says, my guru is a Siddha Purusha, he says world is real. If you say my guru is a Jivan Mukta, my guru is a Jivan Mukta and he has understood waking is unreal, then another person says that my guru is also Jivan Mukta, he is a Siddha Purusha, but he says world is real. So can we decide the reality, unreality of a universal experience like waking state? can we decide the universal experience like waking state based upon somebody's personal private experience? We can't decide. So how can you but if you want to decide also, there are many jnanis, they are contradicting with each other. Okay, many purushas contradicting one another. Then whom are we to trust? Because he is maybe delusion. How do you know? If it is a personal experience, it may be delusion. And the truth is something, a universal. A truth which is universal has to be decided by universal experience. Instead of referring to universal experience, you are resorting to a personal, private experience. It becomes a blind belief alone. Okay? It will be a simple belief alone. Next, nachedam paramartha satta swarupam abhiyukta vachanaika gamyam. Then each, as I told you, there are many jnanis, each one says something. In that case, whatever they say, if it is true, there are many gurus talking many things. Then what happens? Whatever they say, if it is true, then the truth cannot be decided, because there are multiple versions of the truth. Multiple versions of the truth. You don't know who is right and who is wrong. Okay. Multiple versions of truth. Because many jnanis, all, you talk to any sampradayika person, does he accept that his guru was not a jnani? They all say founder of our religion, founder of our sampradaya, or our guru was a jnani. He Siddha Purusha, he knows the truth. If everybody is a jnani, everybody knows the truth, then why there are multiple truths, multiple version of the truth, and each one contradicting the other? Somebody says Vishnu alone is the truth, another says Rama alone is the truth, another says Shiva alone is the truth, another says Krishna alone is the truth. And then somebody says Jagat is real, and another says Jagat is not real. Then whom are we to accept? There are multiple truths. It cannot be decided like that. Okay. Nachedam paramartha satta swarupam. It is not based upon somebody's personal private. Okay, next point comes. When will the jivan muktaha avasthayam etat sangirante? Now, in which avastha? In staying in which avastha? Supposing, assume that there is one jnani who understands all three states are unreal. Waking, dream and deep sleep, all these three states are mithya. He understands. But staying in which state? Staying in which of the three states he understands? And then staying in which state does he teach us? It's a problem, isn't it? Staying in which state? Does he understand the way? Does he understand that the Jagat is mithya in waking state? Staying in waking state, he understands the Jagat waking is mithya. Staying in waking state, how can he understand waking is mithya? If he lives in waking state, waking is real for him. When it is real for him, how can he talk of waking state as unreal? Himself being in waking state. So he is contradicting himself. He cannot be jnani, he cannot teach. Abhipagamyata idanim punuchyate jagradadi anyatama avasthayam jivanmuktaha samsara dosham upadishante tada katham na vyagataha. Arhanti samsara dosham. Because it's okay, he might understand in some other avastha, waking, dream and deep sleep, one of the avasthas he understood that all the three states are unreal, yet he continues in the three states and then he teaches us. Is it not contradiction? Natavat sushuptav, kohisyad, okay. Or you may say, in which state, staying in which state has he understood the world to be unreal, and staying in which state he is teaching us. Two things. One question, the so-called Jivan Mukta, who understood the truth, who understood the unreality of the world, in staying in which state has he understood that the waking world is unreal, and staying in which state does he teach us? This is the question. In first alternative is that he understood in the waking state and he teaches us staying in the waking state. If he stays in the waking state, then for him waking is real. That means he has not falsified the waking state. If Jnani lives in waking state, he has not falsified the waking state. Okay. Then how can he teach us that the waking is unreal? Even if he teaches, what validity the teaching has? Himself, who has not negated the waking state, and but takes the waking as real, and then if he teaches waking is unreal, what validity his words have? Nothing. Next to say, no, he understood the truth in the deep sleep. Okay, deep sleep, we can say that he has understood the Jagat to be unreal in deep sleep and teaches us in the waking state. Then the question comes, is there a difference between Jnani's deep sleep and our deep sleep, Ajnani's deep sleep? Does Jnani have a separate, special deep sleep? Does Jnani have a special Sushupti, so that in his Sushupti he understands the world as unreal? And Ajnani has a different Sushupti, so that he is unable to understand the world to be unreal. Okay? So, is there a difference between the Sushuptis of Jnani and Ajnani? You can't distinguish. You can't distinguish between Jnani's Sushupti and Ajnani's Sushupti, because the nature of Sushupti is same. There is neither Jnani nor Ajnani. Okay? The very nature of Sushupti is one and uniform. One and uniform. There is no variety. There is no variety in Sushuptis. All Sushuptis just one and uniform like Akasha. Akasha is of the same. Akasha in Karnataka, Akasha in Delhi is not of different type. Okay? Akasha in Karnataka, Akasha in Uttar Pradesh. Is it different? Or Akasha is same? Or Akasha is in America? You ask the people who have gone to America, have you seen Akasha in your America? They say, yes, I have seen. How is it? Is it different from our Akasha in Karnataka, in Bangalore? Or Akasha in America is different? Or Akasha in England? How is the Akasha in England? Wherever you go, Akasha is Akasha. Same. You can't distinguish. If you look at the Akasha, you don't know whether you are in America or India or Karnataka. It doesn't make any difference. Do you see? Just to look at Akasha means a space. Akasha means not the sky. Akasha means a space. Just to look at the space, it is Nirakara, Nirvishesha. From the standpoint of Akasha, you don't know which village you are, which town, which city, which country you are. All of them merge into one uniform Akasha. Similarly, Sushupti is one uniform. In that one uniform Sushupti, how can you distinguish between two? Impossible. Okay? Therefore, if Jnani's Sushupti is different and Ajnani's Sushupti is different, in Ajnani, Sushupti is free from the world, free from Ajnana, therefore he understands the truth. So this shows if this explanation is totally wrong, because there is no difference between Sushupti and Sushupti. Everybody's Sushupti is one and uniform. Whether Jnani, Ajnani, no difference at all, because in Sushupti you are neither Jnani nor Ajnani. There is only one Sushupti Swarupam. One Swarupam, whatever the nature of it is, only one nature of Sushupti. There are no different kinds of people, no mind. In Sushupti, neither there is body, nor there is mind, nor there is world. Therefore, you cannot have many kinds of Sushuptis. There are no variety of Sushupti. There is no variety of Sushupti, it is only one uniform Ekarupa Sushupti. If Jnani's Sushupti were different, Ajnani's Sushupti were different, if you think of difference in Sushupti, variety in Sushupti, it is no more Sushupti. The very nature of Sushupti collapses. The very nature of Sushupti collapses. Because that means it is no more a Sushupti. You cannot call it a Sushupti where there are kind of many kinds of Sushupti. Sushupti is one and uniform. Okay? Therefore, क्वचित् किञ्चिदपि च विशेषे उररीक्रियेत तत एव सुषुप्तेः सुषुप्तित्वम्. Because Sushupti is Nirvishesha. Nirvishesha means Vande Bage. It's all uniform. Okay, rakanga untundi. There is no variety. Jnani Sushupti, Ajnani Sushupti, there is no difference. Okay. So Nirvishesha. Vishesha means special. Nirvishesha, no speciality. Everywhere the same. Nirvishesha means nothing special, no variety, all one uniform. That's what called Nirvishesha. Okay. Okay, then you say, okay, he cannot understand. In Jivan Mukta has understood the waking state to be unreal, neither in the waking state, because we have rejected. Sushupti, we have rejected, because Sushupti also not possible. Then in which state has he understood? Tell us. Then you say he must have understood some other special personal experience he has got. Some Nirvikalpa Samadhi or something. If that Jivan Mukta has understood Jagat to be Mithya in his personal life, that 6 months he remained in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He got a special Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He lives in that for 6 months, he understood the world to be Mithya. Enappa, if he lives in his own private personal life, then what is the point? How can he come to our life? Because we are in waking state. Will he come to waking state or not? If he doesn't come, remains there alone, then he cannot teach us. Having understood Jagat to be Mithya in his Nirvikalpa Samadhi. See, he understands Jagat to be Mithya in his Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He won't be able to teach us. Because we are in waking state. And we cannot go into his state. Because that Nirvikalpa Samadhi is his personal experience. We cannot go because it is not our common experience. Nobody has. It is his personal private experience. Therefore, it doesn't work. Then how? Then the Purvapakshi comes up with another explanation. Purvapakshi was put a question. Tell, how do you say waking is Mithya? He is trying to give various explanations. Siddhanta is dismissing each explanation. And he is struggling hard to find another explanation. Okay? Purvapakshi is trying hard to come up with another explanation, which probably Siddhanta might accept. Okay? Now the 20th point he says, Avidyalesha. He says he has understood he understands in Turiya Avastha, he says. Okay, if he understands in Turiya Avastha, but how will he teach us? No, he will come to waking state and teach us. Oh, having understood, he understood the waking state as a Mithya in Turiya Avastha, but he comes back to waking. If he comes to waking, means he comes back to Ajnanam. You say waking state is born of Ajnanam. You told waking state is born of Ajnanam. Then if he understands waking state as a Mithya in his Turiya state, having understood in his Turiya state, how will he teach us? He has to come back to waking. But waking is an Ajnana Avastha. Does Jnani come to waking state again? Tell us, has he removed his Ajnanam or not? Has he removed his Avidya or not? If he has negated avidya, then he won't be able to come to waking state. He says, Jivan muktanam nissamshayam atma tattvavabodho jatepi matraya vidya samskaro anuvartate. He says, yes, Jivan muktas, by going into Turiya state, they understand Brahman, but yet they will be able to retain waking state also, so that they can toggle. Toggle, in computer toggling. If you know in computer the toggling like that, he will toggle between Turiya and there are some people say our Guruji has understood Brahmajnanam in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and he will come down to worldly level. He keeps on going into Nirvikalpa and waking state. Nirvikalpa and waking state. He keeps on toggling between them. Does he do like that? So, matraya avidya samskaro anuvartate. He says, though he transcends the waking state, understands the waking to be mithya in his Turiya state, some state, yet he retains the waking state because of a little bit of ignorance, a trace of ignorance. Trace means avidya lesha. Avidya lesha means a little bit of. Sasve kalashtu. Little bit of avidya. Okay. Tan mithyeti manyamano vidvan. Therefore, he knows the waking state to be mithya, but because of his a little bit of avidya samskara. Avidya samskara means a little bit of impressions of avidya he retains. Because of that, he will be able to work in the world and sees like us, and he has got a body, and so because of that, he knows. But he doesn't believe, though he sees the waking world. He says, Jnani sees, understands the waking is mithya, yet he sees yet he experiences the waking state. Who says that? Purvapakshi. Purvapakshi says, Jnani understands that waking state is mithya, yet he lives in the waking state due to a little bit of avidya. So he experiences the waking state and teaches us through the waking state. Then how can he have waking state? No, he himself, he has waking state only due to samskara little bit, and he knows the waking state is mithya. Knowing mithya, and then he just lives in the waking state. Though he lives in the waking state, though he has got a body, but he knows it is mithya. He knows it is mithya. Tasman nokta doshaha. Therefore, you can't find fault with us. You can't find fault with us. Who says? Purvapakshi. Siddhanti answers no. It is not acceptable because Atmanaha samsaritvam yadi vidvasyamanaha. See, if he knows the samsara, waking state or states, samsara means states, 3 states. If he knows samsara or the 3 states to be mithya, yet he lives in the waking state and talks like us, behaves like us, he has got a body and interacts with us. He carries a body and interacts with people. Vyavaharanscha samsari vadeva jnani apisan. Though he is a jnani, he lives like samsari. He all carries out all his activities similar to a samsari. And then you say that he is not believing. He knows that it is mithya. He knows all the waking world, yet he knows it is a mithya. What kind of mithya is it? When he lives in the waking world, he interacts with people in the waking world. He carries a body with him, lives as a part of a waking world, interacts with people, and yet you say he knows it mithya. How can he know mithya? When he is interacting, when he is a part of the waking state, then he knows the way. He is already a samsari. He lives in the samsaric world. He has got samsarika pratyayas. And yet you hear him see, avidya samskara anuvrittireva kevalam karanam vyavahare. And he says, see, for him to continue in the waking state, to continue in the samsara is not due to avidya samskara. A little bit of avidya, it is only due to a small bit of avidya, is not real avidya, he says. Vidyayatu tan mityatva. But he is a jnani, he got jnanam. he understands the samsara to be mithya. Though he lives as a samsari, though he lives as a samsara, he lives the samsara, experiences samsara, yet he understands it to be mithya. Then he says, if a little bit of samsara remains in him, and if that little bit of samsara is not removed, then what kind of jnani is he? What kind of jnani is he? Siddhanti says, what kind of jnani is he? If he has got a samsarika pratyaya, if he has got an experience of samsara, then how can you call him jnani? He is like any other way else. Jivan muktir gaunatva sikare. He says, see, you are too stubborn fellow. You Siddhanta is a stubborn fellow. You won't listen. You should have a shraddha. You are arguing too much. Purvapakshi says, Mula Vidyavadi says that you are arguing too much. Kutarka. I am patiently answering you. Your fellows unnecessarily arguing a lot. You should listen what Guruji says and then accept it. Don't question too much. You are questioning too much. But anyway, I shall answer to you. See, we said a little bit of avidya remains in jnani. Why a little bit of avidya remains? A small avidya, a faint avidya. Avidya's impressions are a faint avidya remains. Because he has to have a body and he has to interact with people, he has to have a samsarika life. Samsara means worldly life. He has to have. Otherwise, then how will he teach us? If all ajnanam goes away, then his body disappears. He won't be able to see world. He won't be able to see shishya. He cannot see, he won't be able to see the disciple and he won't be able to teach us. My God. Then you want that jnani should disappear? Once he gains the jnanam, should disappear and should be unable to teach us? Don't do that. Okay? Therefore, what we say is, to become a jnani, you don't need removal of entire avidya. This you don't know probably. Listen to us. We are Mula Vidyavadins. We are teaching. You don't need to remove the entire avidya to become jnani. 95% of avidya goes away, but a 5% small remains. Okay? 95% of avidya goes away, a small 5% remains. Samsara mithyatva avagame apekshate. To understand the world to be mithya, you don't need to remove the entire ajnanam. Okay? You don't need to remove the entire ajnanam. 90%. See, as much as required for removing the samsara, you require only that much. You require a major portion of avidya to be destroyed by jnanam to become jnani. Prarabdha. So, for the prarabdha to continue, for the two things are there, sanchita, prarabdha and kriyamana. For the avidya required for sanchita is destroyed. But there is some prarabdha required. Prarabdha shesha. Okay? Avidya lesha, prarabdha shesha. So there is a prarabdha. Some shesha prarabdha is there for him to, he has to go through. Okay? For sake of that, who says? Purvapakshi says. For sake of that much of prarabdha, he needs a little bit of avidya. Avidya lesha, prarabdha shesha. Because prarabdha he has to enjoy. Prarabdha can't be destroyed. For the prarabdha, for the shesha prarabdha, we require a lesha avidya. For shesha prarabdha, we require avidya lesha. Okay. I just note these two words. Swamiji has not used it, but I am using them. Prarabdha shesha and avidya lesha. Karma shesha. Karma shesha is prarabdha shesha. So he has got one karma shesha. Prarabdha remains. And avidya also, you see, he has become jnani because 95% of ajnanam is destroyed. Only a small 5 means a little bit of avidya remains. Okay? That little bit of avidya is required for prarabdha to continue, because prarabdha is there. You see, Jnani, do you want Jnani to teach you? Yes, I need a Jnani because I have to go to Jnani and learn Vedanta. He has to teach me. Purvapakshi says, yes, Jnani has to teach you. That means he has to have a body. He has to live like you. And he has to live like us, and he has to interact with us. That means Jnani is also living a samsara. But how can he become Jnani, you may ask? You may ask, how can he become Jnani if he lives like us? You see, the main Ajnana goes away, but a small part of Ajnana he retains. If he doesn't retain, he won't be able to continue in the world. He won't be able to continue in the body and in the world and interact it. Therefore, a small percentage of avidya. What is that avidya required for? For prarabdha shesha. Why prarabdha? To be able to teach some prarabdha shesha is required. Shesha means a left out. Some portion of prarabdha which is unexperienced. Unexhausted prarabdha. Prarabdha shesha means which is not yet completely exhausted. Unexhausted prarabdha. Unexhausted prarabdha. I don't know, this is a difficult prarabdha. Shesha word I have been using, I don't know for others who do understand. I think even foreigners also are familiar with Sanskrit words. Some of the important Sanskrit words they too know. I think they understand. I should remember them also. If I address only Indians, then it becomes difficult. I should remember them. So I use the English word. So unexhausted prarabdha remains. Avidya lesha means a trace of avidya, a faint avidya. So a small trace of avidya remains, unexhausted prarabdha remains. So avidya is required for prarabdha, prarabdha is required for continuing in the body and to be able to teach others. This is what Purvapakshi's explanation. But you see, then Siddhanti may ask, you mean he has got a little bit of avidya and some prarabdha, shesha prarabdha, that won't go away? Then when will he get completely exhausted prarabdha, completely remove avidya and becomes completely avidyaless? Completely free from avidya, when will he become? After the death of the body. Oh, yes, after the death of the body. Until the death of the body, while experiencing the prarabdha, he is meditating. Continuously he is in touch with Brahman, his nature, which he has understood. I am Brahman, he has understood, is continuously remains in that understanding. Okay? Continuously he remains in that understanding. Because of his continuously remaining in that understanding, the remaining prarabdha gets exhausted. Okay? The remaining prarabdha, we call it. Prarabdha shesha is the remaining prarabdha. Remaining prarabdha gets exhausted. When all prarabdha is exhausted, then the avidya lesha also is not required. Then with the fall of the body, neither prarabdha exists nor avidya lesha. The trace of avidya, the faint avidya exists. All avidya completely goes away. All karma completely goes away. Body also goes away. Then he becomes a videha mukta. Therefore, our traditional acharyas told, Purvapakshi says, our traditional acharyas told that videha mukti alone is a real mukti. That is a real mukti because that is when you become completely free from avidya, completely free from prarabdha. You become completely free from karma, you become completely free from duality, completely free from the body and the world and everything. Really you become completely free and become non-dual with the fall of the body. Therefore, but in Jivan Mukta means before the fall of the body, a little bit of avidya remains. It has become completely thinned down. It is emaciated, thinned down avidya. Even it is as good as non-existent. It is there. We don't say it is not there. A little bit of avidya remains. It is almost nearly gone. Since it is nearly gone, a little bit of doesn't affect. Okay? A little bit of as good as non-existent. Therefore, he has a little bit of avidya and some prarabdha, with the help of which he continues his vyavahara, samsara, he talks to people and others. Yet he is liberated because major portion of avidya is gone. Okay, this is what Mula Vidyavadi has tried to do. Now the Siddhanti catches. He says, avidya, whether it is a small degree or bigger degree, whatever little degree, if it is present, is he jnani? Yes, it is a jnani. He is a jnani having a little bit of avidya. How can the vidya exist together? This is the question. Vidya and avidya cannot exist together in one place, in one person. See, vidya vidyayo ekadi karanatva ayoga ayogat. Vidya, so he is a, you say he is a jnani, and also say he has got a faint little bit of ajnana accompanying him. See, avidya and vidya are totally opposite to each other. Okay? If they are opposite to each other, they cannot coexist. This is the question. Siddhanti challenges the Mula Vidya. How can a little bit of avidya remain with jnani? Because they are opposite to each other, like light and darkness. Like light and darkness are opposite to each other. You can't say that lot of darkness has gone, 95%, 98% of darkness is gone, only 2% of darkness lives with ignorance, lives with light. How can the darkness live with light which is opposite to it? Light and darkness. Prakasha, tama prakasha. Tamaha, prakasha. Tama and prakasha, they are opposite to each other. Opposite means where one is, the other cannot exist. But what is the nature of opposition, we have to decide. The next question comes, here is a discussion that follows. It looks a little deviation, but yet it is a discussion important. Therefore, we have discussed this also. At the end of the discussion, we are. So tomorrow, I think today 1 hour is over. Tomorrow, I shall summarize this discussion, okay? And then continue. Tomorrow means, no, not tomorrow, in the next class. Tomorrow, Saturday, we will have Vedanta Paribhasha. So Sunday, Monday, we cannot have. I think Monday, what shall we have? No, Monday we cannot have. Only Tuesday we shall have. Monday I will have Telugu. So in Sunday something else. So we'll have Tuesday. Okay, next session will Mula Vidya Nirasa will be on Tuesday. So today we. So this main point is, how can Vidya and Avidya exist? Because they are opposite to each other like light and darkness. Can light and darkness exist together? Which is impossible. Siddhanti says. Purva Pakshi challenges it. No. Darkness and light can coexist. Therefore, Vidya and Avidya can coexist. These are the two important opposite stands. Purva Pakshi says, Vidya and Avidya can coexist. Because how? He shows an example of light and darkness can coexist. They can remain together. Siddhanti says light and darkness cannot remain together. Therefore, you cannot show an instance, an illustration of light and darkness to prove the coexistence of Vidya and Avidya. In order to prove the coexistence of Vidya and Avidya, Jnanam and Ajnanam coexistence, you can't show the example of light and darkness, because light and darkness too cannot coexist. Purva Pakshi says it coexists. Siddhanti says it cannot. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Where there is darkness, there is no light. Similarly, where there is Jnanam, there can't be Ajnanam. Where there is Ajnanam, there is no Jnanam. So they are opposite to each other. So out of these two people, who is right? We will discuss in the next class. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. In fact, we have discussed it in the last class. but we have to just summarizing it to recall, to remember in what context we are. Okay, Om. Tomorrow, Saturday, Mula Vidya, ವಿಶುದ್ಧ ವೇದಾಂತ ಪರಿಭಾಷಾ 11 to 12. ಕನ್ನಡ ಯಾರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ನಾಳೆ ವೇದಾಂತ ಪರಿಭಾಷಾ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ 11 ನಿಂದ 12ಕ್ಕೆ.